I'm here to introduce my learning center. The title is Time It, and the theme obviously is time. The Common Core standard for my learning center is grade 1, measure and data 1.3, tell and write time in hours and half hours using analog and digital clocks. Now for my first activity, roll the time. Materials needed is dice with numbers up to 12 and a clock. And this could be played with one or more players. It's simple, you just roll the dice. I rolled a 12. The student picks up the big clock and needs to find the 12 on their clock. Like that. And that is 12. And then the next person continues. For my next activity, Time Flash, this consists of flashcards, and this is one dry erase and one or more players. You just pick up a card, you look at see what time it is. This says 11 o'clock. The student writes 11 o'clock and shows it to the other student. And to check to see if they're correct, they just flip the card over, and yes, it's 11 o'clock. And they continue that until the teacher says next. My third activity is Just in Time. This is a board game that I made up, and I basically just put a whole bunch of clocks down here. You need a dice and little pegs, preferably different colors, one for red and one for yellow, one or two players. You roll it. I got a 1, I move to 1, and you have to guess the time. And here it says 8 o'clock. Then you just move on to the next person. Now for the more advanced student, there's flashcards. These cards will be laid face down. You pick a card up, and it says 11 o'clock. And the student needs to find 11 o'clock. And when they find 11 o'clock, they put their little token on 11 o'clock, and then it's the next person's turn. Now it might seem like this, that when they pick a card, the students might go back and forth. Yes, they will go back and forth, but eventually they will get to the end and there will be a winner. For my next activity, just stick this over here. Mark your clock. This consists of little flashcards, and this time it's also a dry erase, and it's one or two players, and the student looks at the flashcard at the digital time, 10:30. The student needs to fill in the hour and the minute hand for 10:30. And then they show it to the next student. And then they move on to the next person. My next activity is Robot Time. This is a game, it's a domino game. This is 2 players or more. And just like dominoes, it on one side it's an analog, on the other it's digital. Now here it says 9 o'clock, on the other end it says 3:30. So each player is going to get 5 cards, and when that person's up, they need to see if they can either match 9 o'clock with the digital, with an analog, or 3:30 with the digital. And if they have it, then they put it down and they match just like you would a domino game. Now, as these games are played, there is going to be questions that the students are going to want to ask. So I do supply at each activity a clock. Now these clocks consist of the seconds on here, so that if a student doesn't remember how to, what time this was, we'll say 11, they can just pick up their clock that's at their station and they can count. Let's see, I do know like the big hand's going to be on the 12, but how do I know that? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. And the hour hand is at the 11 or 11 o'clock. Now if they need a little bit more assistance than the clock that is applied at their station, they're also going to have a little wand that has a clock on it. The student just needs to raise the wand. As I'm observing the class, I see that the wand is raised, and I will go to that student and see what their question is. For me to know when they finished each activity, the students will have a sheet that is posted at each activity, at each station. They're gonna find their name, and they're gonna stick a sticker by their name. We'll say like Abigail. Activity 1, she puts the sticker. And when they were done with that, at the end, the students will come to the box, find their name, say Abigail, take it to their desk. Inside is their assessment. This is for me to know if they're grasping how to tell time. They're going to open it up. They're going to read the directions. It says cut out time squares, these time squares, paste matching time squares to time book, and put back in finished box. So they're going to paste it here. For example, the first one says 10 o'clock. They're going to find 10 o'clock, and they're going to paste it next to the time. And when they're done with that, they're going to put it back in their envelope. And back in the box. Now, for students that finish more quickly than others, there's little activities here that I've made, and it's just merely matching the analog with the digital with an analog, and I have 2 of those. This is all from digital to analog. Now, if you notice, I have a lot of activities like this that are with Velcro. I work with students with autism, and I find that activities like this is much easier for them to work with. Some of them are not verbal, so this is a way to let me know that yes, they are grasping how to tell time. And there you go. That's my learning center on how to tell time. Thank you.